Okay, today Emigrate USA and Rammstein USA is fortunate enough to be with Mr. Richard Z. Kruspe and Arnaud of Emigrate. Welcome back to the city, New York City.
Thank you for having us. And happy birthday again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been 7 years since you released the self-titled track Emigrate. Was coming back to New York City, where it all began, an important place for your new album, Silent So Long.
Well, you know, it might seem a long time, which 7 years, it is a time, but for us it was always important that we all kind of watched the way that every band or every project has this certain kind of rhythm that we follow. And it didn't take us 7 years to record the record, so I was really busy with Rammstein. I've been doing other records. So I have to look at the camera. I forgot about it since I was trying to be polite. And I was on tour, and 2.5 years ago I came out of the tour. I was a little shaky, a little depressed, and I was going through some stuff I was recording, because that's what I do. I record basically everyday things, and I got really inspired by listening through the songs, the tracks, and I felt there was something that I could hear on the second Emigrate record. So I was calling up the family and said, listen, let's get together and see what we have. So we listened for 2 months, you know, patched up certain things, and then we decided, okay, now is the right time to do a record.
You've spent a lot of your time between like New York City and Berlin. How would you describe the influences the two cities have had on your sound?
I moved back from New York to Berlin 2.5 years ago. I made a personal decision because I became a father again, and I felt to raise a child in New York wasn't the right thing to do. So I moved back to Berlin, and I'm a big believer that environments or cities has a big impact on your music, because I believe that we all have a chemistry or an energy, and it kind of goes along with other people or with cities, with environments or whatever it is. So New York had kind of a, I would say, kind of a rocky energy that came out, that I was quite surprised listening to the first record, because I always felt and imagined the sound of Emigrate was different. And when I first heard the record, I was a little disappointed in a way. And so New York City like brought certain things out of Emigrate that was there, but I never really, not liked this. There was a little bit too much that I wasn't such a fan of, let's put it that way. Where Berlin right now, because Berlin is, for myself, and I only can speak from me as an individual, it brings a really destruct feeling out of me. It's a really moody place. It's a much more like kind of an electro vibe of a place, and those elements you can hear on the second record, while I described the first record as a New York record and the second record as a Berlin record.
Okay. You mentioned that the sound would have a darker tone, and I have to say I love the sound. But also the artwork's taken on a darker tone as well, and I was wondering if the new logo that has come out, it kind of has a burnt feel to it with the wire, if that has any reflection upon your history from East Germany and what you went through and the struggle to get to where you are now.
Interesting. I love, you know, when people start to come up with their own story, with their own idea, with their own theme. I like that. And that's why I always like kind of hesitate to tell my story, because it ruins the other stories, you know. But how I felt it in the beginning was that the logo, I saw the logo was designed by some guy, and I felt like, it felt like forgotten. It felt like 7 years somewhere buried, the name Emigrate, and slowly we found it back. That's also where the name Silent So Long comes to place. That with the logo, with their forgottenness, with their calm before the storm, you know.
Overall, most of the time, yes, we don't. We would like that people can come up with their own little stories, you know, like images, lyrics, music are like basically trigger. We like when it triggers, you know, your own personal little cinema. You're creating your own little movie, things that, and I think it's a good thing since like people are using less and less their imagination. So it's nice also, you know, to have to know that people are creating their own stories. About the logo, it's really like a little bit of an excavation, you know. It's just like 47 years, you know, like things have been, you know, the dust has been piling up, you know, stones, like things have been building up, and it's a bit like we rediscover something that was a bit forgotten, you know. And well, as for the rest, as for the organic wood, pieces of, you know, wires and stuff like this, we leave it to the people to, you know, come up with their own interpretations.
What would you say that it would be your biggest accomplishment for Emigrate right now?
I think the biggest accomplishment right now is that I can see a future which I haven't seen before. I always said I would, you know, Emigrate got created by like frustration, being in a band that is quite a closed environment, which only works for them, you know. But I always felt something missing in my life. I felt like I was longing something that I didn't have in Rammstein, especially growing up in East Berlin, where people started bands every day and they were collaborating every day. All of a sudden, after the wall came down, things got lost, forgotten, and people were confused. You know, they lost their culture from one day to the other. And Emigrate I was trying to create something that's to be an open source, where people come together actually and start to create music, people that I like, or maybe people that the songs like, you know, that the songs will choose.
I mean, what would be your most important goal for Emigrate?
I always think the most important thing all we have to do is to touch other people, you know, with your music. And we very much aware of that we try to do a lot of quality, which has forgotten as well in this world at the moment, you know. The goal is always to do quality. That's my goal. I don't want to go away from that. You know, I want to still be able to have as much as fun in the studio and to be able to create good music that I can touch other people. So if I can't do this anymore, then I go back in the kitchen.
This is also why actually we're taking our time. You know, there's really a moment where you feel that you're ready to accomplish certain things, and we never wanted to do Emigrate and make it out of an obligation, or you know, or have like any pressure, you know, whatsoever. You know, we really wanted to have this project as flawless as possible in terms of like spirit also. You know, like when he was ready to sing, he was singing. When we were ready to work on the tracks, we were working on the tracks, but there was like not like a, you know, clock sticking. So
my clock was ticking. I was like, come on, back to work.
Yeah. So was I actually.
No, we don't have, that's a good thing. We never followed certain kind of rules with Rammstein in a way that you have to bring out the record every year, you know, because sometimes the music industry dictates a certain kind of rhythm. We never followed that, and also with Emigrate, we don't want to follow that. We don't need that. I don't think it's not the right thing to do, because if you do so, then you start to create music without visions, without desire, and it becomes crap.
You know, when you have nothing to say, you better shut up. You know.
Back to the album. Of course, I must ask, since Rammstein is on break for a while, can we hope and expect for an American tour?
But as touring in the States right now, nothing's planned, because in fact we are not planning to tour right now. We're having these conversations, the conversation process. It's something that's growing, you know, like a nice little flower in his head, watering that. But the thing is that there's nothing on schedule, nothing on paper. It's just a conversation that we're having. But you know, like in the meantime, we're going to do this follow-up album, and I think it's going to be also a great album.
Can't wait.
Yeah.